This is the Electric Bike Action Podcast, devoted to all things on two wheels, and sometimes three, with an electric motor. Electric Bike Action Magazine is a print and digital magazine that reviews bikes and shares the latest news about e-bikes. I'm Tony Donaldson, the editor of the magazine and the host of this podcast. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and, if you like, a review to help us reach more people. You can also check out our website, electricbikeaction.com, and check out our Facebook page and Instagram account. Hey everybody, and welcome to the podcast today. My guest today is Eddy King. He is a former BMX pro. He's in the BMX Hall of Fame. He raced in the 1980s, got his start when he was 10 years old with a bike, and he's had a very interesting career and has had a major setback, which we'll talk about in the podcast, and he is now an absolute inspiration and a huge e-bike advocate. So without further ado, here's Eddy. Welcome to the show, Eddy.
How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, it's good to see you. How was your ride this morning?
It's pretty good. I went riding out by the Santan Mountains and dropped off these cards to the ranger and to all the people there to, I made this card with my picture of me on there, but I did a QR code that takes them straight to the website that talks about the documentary that Anthill Films did for us.
That's awesome, and I'm definitely going to link to that in the show notes. For anybody who doesn't want to look at the show notes, it's called Tools of Empowerment by Shimano, and
yes.
it's available on YouTube. It's a really good 8-minute short film that's just an amazing story of what you have gone through and what you've done. But take us back to brief history of your career, and then how you got into the accident, and we'll go from there.
I started racing BMX in like 1975 in San Diego. Turned pro. I raced for a couple of companies, one called Torker, another one called Diamondback, and a few local bike shop teams prior to that. And then I raced professionally in BMX from 1983 to 88, and then quickly retired after that, and then kind of hid away. And meanwhile, I really didn't do too much riding pretty much in the 90s for the most part. I pretty much stayed away and focused on my other career, which is real estate. And, then I started getting a little bit of the bug to get back into shape a little bit when my brother kind of took over the USA Cycling Olympic team in 2006. So I ended up getting a couple of bikes from Diamondback at the time, and I started riding around and doing some road bike riding, and I did some mountain bike riding, and I started racing a little bit of the cross country series that they have in San Diego County, which is called the Quick and Dirty. And I just started getting hooked on the whole thing, started getting in better shape, started getting, my fitness was getting better, and it was just like contagious. I never liked pain like that back in my 20s, but I guess when you're in your 40s, you kind of accept it a little bit easier, I guess. And I just started seeing the improvements, and I just got hooked on it. And in 2013, I was going to the mountain bike park up in Big Bear, California for a while, and this was like the last weekend of 2013. I went and did the last trip up there, the last weekend trip, and was going down the hill. It was like a third trip down the hill at the time, and I got bucked off this new jump that they put there, this new tabletop, and I went over the bars, landed on my back. And one of the things that I had in my Camelback was my shock pump and my phone and the bladder. Well, the bladder pushed up against the phone, and the iPhone that I had pushed up against the shock pump knob, and that's what punctured my T11, T12 in my back. Otherwise, I probably would have been just fine. I would not have had any type of neurological injury like that or something. I would have been banged up a little bit, that's for sure. But I would have been a-okay to come back to see another day at Big Bear.
So you're definitely suggesting that people don't carry extra stuff in their hydration pack.
I would definitely not carry anything in that hydration pack. I mean, I carry a small little CO2 cartridge and a little thing that releases the CO2, and that's about it on there when I go riding these days.
Makes a lot of sense, and you've been sort of a champion for that online. I have followed, since your accident, I have followed your progress, and one of the things that I like from the film was says whenever somebody tells me no or you can't, automatically that light goes on in my head and says, "You'll see, I'm going to surprise you." And
yeah.
I mean, just watching how hard you've worked over these past several years to, prove them wrong when they said you weren't going to walk again, and it's just been amazing. But you can, if somebody follows you online, they can definitely appreciate just how much work you've put in.
Yeah, it's been a pretty, I don't know exactly. When he told me no, the doctor told me no, I was like, oh, okay, that's all I needed to hear. It's like, you know what, you're not good enough for this. You can't make this. It's just, and I was like, no, you don't understand. I went and I did my research, and I found other people that had success, and I wanted to talk to them and find out, what did they do differently, or and what I basically found out is that everybody's spinal cord injury is really different. There's no two that are the same. Certain things happen, certain things come back. Some people, actually, I know people that are better than me. I know some people have got a full recovery, and my case is not quite that, but it's close enough. And what I really wanted to do is get back some of the independent things that I used to do before.
Oh, absolutely, and that is an incredibly smart thing to actually go find other people who've gone through it and ask them what they did.
Oh yeah, and I asked all the therapists. I mean, I went to the best places in Southern California. I went to Project Walk, which is no longer there. I went to Project Walk, where a lot of people have been when they first got injured, and I just picked the trainers there's brains apart, and I went to a lot of them, and I still talk to some of them there. And also I went to another place in Redondo Beach called Next Step Fitness. So me and my girlfriend were traveling, 90 miles one way, 120 round trip the other way. I mean, we were doing a lot of miles during the week, and I was only going to these places for maybe 3 hours at a time, or an hour at a time at Next Step, and getting stuck in that LA traffic or the 15 corridor traffic. It was a nightmare. But anyway, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and you did. So that's the best part of it. How long was it before you got onto a bicycle again?
Oh, I tried almost immediately, like within, I want to say 6 to 8 months, maybe 9, maybe closer to 8 to 9, right around there. I just wanted to just see if I could stand up and just get into that position and pedal it, like I was riding the exercise bike at the gym or something. And when I got on it, I was like, I didn't have any core strength. And that's kind of what you use to balance yourself on a bike, your core strength, besides using the handlebars. And I was, and I had Perry Kramer there with me, and I told him, I said, watch out. If I almost felt like, a 3-year-old trying to ride a bike for the first time with getting the training wheels off. It was really weird. And I felt, what happens if I just kind of just roll down the street and I just flop? I'm going to end up crashing. Maybe this is not a good idea to do it. But anyway, I ended up going down the street and pedaling a little bit. It was actually it was an e-bike at the time. The neighbor had one across the street.
Oh, okay.
That was the first bike that I rode, was an e-bike. And I pedaled it a little bit, but at the same time, it didn't have good pedals. My feet, I have no feeling on my feet. So I really, I've got to look down there and see whether or not my foot placement's proper or not. And, because the last thing I want to do is slip a pedal and have that pedal roll up on the back of my leg. I probably wouldn't feel it anyway, but I'd end up crashing. So as things got on, I started progressing. I could ride a bike by myself, but the e-bike totally took it to a whole different level for me.
That was fantastic. I mean, it was so fun to take you and PK out for your first off-road ride. When we had I think we had 3 high bikes.
That was even prior. That was my first prior before getting the e-bike from Harl. That test that you gave me over there with the high bike and stuff. That was like almost probably, I want to say 6 months or a year earlier than getting the other one. And then I decided, after riding mine for a while, I said, you know what, I'm going to sell this thing and get myself an e-bike. So.
And now you've got a couple of them.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them. One for the street and one for the dirt. And I like them both. I think being out in the dirt's really a lot of fun. On that.
Well, it's sort of your nature, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't really like the cars as much, dealing with them and everything else in the traffic. But when you're out there in the hills and stuff, it's just you and nature.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it makes me happy to see the smile on your face when you're riding.
The time that I went out with you to test that high bike, way long time ago, I'm a lot better than I am now. I figured it out kind of now. Yeah, I figured some of the things that I needed to do, and I really like the Shimano motor that's inside that Harl. It's kind of peppy.
Yeah, it's got a lot of torque to it, and I'm sure it helps you. I remember the first time you got to the top of the first hill, and it was the first time you'd ever been on an e-bike, and so you didn't know how to deal with like slowing down and stuff, and you had the world's slowest crash that I've ever seen. It was like totally slow motion. Yeah, you put your leg out, and it wasn't going to support you, so you just sort of went down very, very slowly, and I think you said, well, we got that out of the way.
Yeah. No, I remember that crash now that I think about it. Exactly. I could probably easily do that now. I mean, not that section right there, easily.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's just a skill thing, but I mean, what was that, like 2 minutes into the first time you've ever been on an e-bike?
Yeah.
So, stuff that you have to get used to. I had a set of magnetic clip pedals that I wonder if that would do anything for you as far as, keeping your feet on the pedals. You can still pull them out pretty easily.
Yeah. I'd have to look into it and try them and test them and see how that would, work out and stuff. I kind of like the large platform pedals right now. That kind of helps because that just gives me more surface. I don't know how much surface is on those magnetic pedals.
They're Shimano DX-ish.
Yeah.
So they're, like those that size. They're not like the giant flat pedals that are out now.
Right.
So
no, that'd be worth trying to see how that does.
Yeah, might see if I can get you a set.
I don't have any problem slipping with the big platform pedals though.
Okay.
On there, but let's see. We can check them out.
Yeah. All right. Any advice to anybody who's looking for an e-bike?
Go hit the demos. I mean, that's the main thing. And you find out, what you really want in a bike. I would go to the few demos that you have nearby to see what you want. I think one of the big things you got to get is the nicest things about these e-bikes is besides the pedal assist, the class 1 pedal assist is the big tires that are on them. And that's one thing that I really enjoy. That's a big difference between my traditional enduro bike that I had out there. But I would just do the demos. Find a demo and go out there and test a few bikes.
All right. You're running plus size tires on yours?
Yeah, 2.8.
Okay. Nice big ones. Everybody should check out the video Tools of Empowerment. And what else do you have going on?
Nothing much. Just doing some media stuff with all of the documentary that's out right now. and working to promote that as much as we can.
We'll get it out there on our social media as well. Thank you very much for joining the show, and look forward to running into you again the next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Electric Bike Action Podcast. For the latest reviews and information, visit electricbikeaction.com, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Google or wherever you get your podcasts, and give us a rating and review to help spread the word about e-bikes. You can also email me at tonyd@hightorque.com. That's TONYD at hi-torque.com. I'm happy to answer questions and would love to hear your experiences and adventures on e-bikes. This podcast is powered by Callcast.